So this is the 9th of March, and this is the fourth installment of this story that we're reading here. So Roman Rudin's Strange Occurrence in the Region of the Heart, and this is the class. So and we're up to this story here, The Wind in Rome, Part 4. So hopefully Ruslan will come along in a minute or two if he can make it. And so it's over to you if you want to read a little bit, Michael.
Okay. Uh,
Can you see that okay?
yes, yes, yes. When I
I think it's the
this
top of the
all day.
page. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's just met this new lady who's a slave and is intrigued by her. And so here we go. Over to you, Michael.
Yeah. All day. I cannot read her from my mind. And come evening, I call for her to be brought to my bedroom. When we were alone, I have closer to her. I move closer to her. I walk around her, looking over the dress my old women have clad her in, and sniffing to determine whether they have managed to bath her and anoint her in oils. Then I pass my hand over her head to be sure that her hair really is that short. She sees my hand and turns to look me right in the eye. Do you want me to bear you a son? I startle at the unex- I startled I startled at the unexpectedness of it and snatch back my hand, which she is holding quite firmly. Maybe I even utter an exclamation, although I will not swear to it. Later, I tried to understand what was the more frightening about her question. The fact that it sounded so out of the ordinary, or the fact that she had asked it in my language. The harsh call of a bird carries from outside the window, and immediately all the candles which illuminate the room are extinguished. The darkness is lit by a flame. The darkness is lit by a flame playing in her eyes, and I find the moment funny because I have, for the first time, been scared by a woman. I locate her hand in the darkness, draw her to me, and start walking toward the bed. In the morning, I ask her name, and she replies she will tell me once the sun and moon have changed place in the heavens 3 times. When I ask her to account for why her hair grows so slowly, she replies that the time has not yet come for this. For some reason, I want to hear. For some reason, I want to hear her voice. I am all the same in wonder at this, my conversation with a woman, for I have spent my whole life on campaign, and she tells me about her country, where the people hew their homes out the cliffs, about the men of the tribe who never held a weapon in their hands, about the women who know exactly what their children will be like as soon as they.
I will hold it there. I think it's as soon as they see their husbands, isn't it? I think, what is it? Set their eyes on the man who will father them. That's it. Father their children. But we'll stick to this page for the moment, otherwise it gets a little bit too complicated. So, interesting story and very well read, as always. Well done. Um, so, anything you want to ask about it that really sort of struck you as something you didn't understand or something like that?
Blood, blood in, it's like Putin, it's like dress in. Yes,
Oh,
women have
clad
blood.
in.
Yeah.
No, if you're wearing something and it's a little bit, if you're sort of wearing something, you say you're clad in it. I'm clad in my clothes. That's a perfectly valid sentence to say. It's a little unusual to say that, but that's perfectly valid. Clad. You could be clad in armor. It means you're wearing armor. You could be clad in anything. Um, it sounds a little bit harsh, I suppose. It doesn't get a great deal of use. Well, let's just bring up their dictionary. Got a dictionary. Let's bring up see what their dictionary says. It does say archaic, so it is a bit old. That's why I said clad in armor. We don't wear armor anymore, hopefully. So clad, it's archaic or literary past tense. Oh, there's a past tense to it. That's true. So it just means clothed. They were clothed in the example sentence here. They were clad in t-shirts and shorts in combination. Then it says another example, leather-clad boys. So these are boys wearing leather jackets or leather trousers or something. So lots of things could be clad, really. That's it. So a bit literary. You don't use everyday speech. So that's that one. Just wearing, what it means, or clothed, past tense. That's it, really. Anything else? Um,
Uh, I don't know what does it mean hew. The people hew their homes
oh
out
yeah,
of the.
hue.
It's something like build.
Um, so it's kind of cut out, I would say. So here we go. So the dictionary says chop or cut. So if it's stone, they're cutting out their houses from the cliff, I suppose it would be. So there's a stone wall there, a natural stone cliff maybe or something like that, and they're whacking at the stone, cutting the stone away. They're hewing the stone. So you could say cut. Another word there would be cut. So where the people cut their homes out of the cliff. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it is cliff, isn't it? It's a bit more
Uh,
literary, I suppose, really.
and I say out of the cliff, it's the meaning in the cliff or in the rock. They
Yeah, they're
cut their.
cutting out their home, so they haven't got somewhere to live, and there's stone there, so they make a hole in the stone, and they live inside that stone, or in the cliff, is what they're saying. They cut it out. So they
Yes,
cut
yes,
their homes. It's a lot of work, one imagines, but it's going to be semi-permanent, isn't it? And presumably dry as well. Won't rain in there, presumably. There are some people who lived in caves, basically living in a cave that's man-made, effectively, just living in a man-made cave. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So just cut, you could say. Cut would be another way. Sometimes it's used for cutting down trees as well. If you're cutting down a tree, you might say hew as well. But it's more like it probably go together with cut and hew. Cut and hew. The two words might go together to describe that, I think. But anything else? Um,
In the morning, I ask her, and she replies, she will tell me one, the
mm,
sun and moon have changed place in the
mm,
heavens 3 times.
mm,
Would 3 times. It, after 3 days, or
mm.
why in the heavens 3 times? Moon.
It sounds like it might be. It's like but she's a lady from a different tribe, and she's going to talk in ways which the emperor doesn't understand. So I think it's just expressing a strangeness. It's bringing out her strangeness, her peculiarities, and that's perhaps why the emperor sort of likes her. She's a bit different. But what it means, it could be 3 days, but I'm not really sure exactly what they're saying. But is it 3 months? I don't know. Because it takes roughly a month for the moon to go 3 cycles. Well, one cycle, I should say. But is that what they're saying? No, I don't really know. I'm not quite sure what they mean by the moon and the sun change places. It sounds like 3 days and 3 nights, I think. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe this is how they talked 2,000 years ago. Perhaps the Romans did this too. I don't know. It's an interesting idea. Didn't have clocks after all, did they? So, um, I noticed. So this word here, I think you put the made this the S like a Z. I think. So if I read that little bit out there, so I move closer to her. So I move closer to her. So it's closer.
Closer.
Yeah,
I
closer,
move closer to her.
closer.
Closer.
Yeah. So there's two ways. So if you forget the um, if it's just the word close, so if you move close to somebody, you're right next to them, aren't you? But that same word also means close. So a shop might close soon.
Mhm.
A shop before a D on the end. A lot of shops say they're closed. Closed.
So if something stop working, it's close. If it's next to me or it's close.
That's it. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the sound. That's the
Yeah.
difference. You've got it. Perhaps you already knew that. I don't know. That's it. Yes. So same word, two different meanings, slightly different pronunciations. That's it. You've got it. But I think you had the S as a very Z-y, I think.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. S
Sniffing
yeah.
to get
Sniffing.
her.
So he's just smelling to see if she's been perfumed.
It's interesting because Napoleon, I don't know, maybe it's right.
Hmm.
He wouldn't like when
Hmm.
his wife is took a bath before the night with
He didn't
him.
like that, you're saying. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
oh.
And
Hmm.
there is some messages when
Hmm.
Bonaparte, Napoleon, French emperor,
Yeah, Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte.
Not emperor, French.
Hmm.
Yes, he uh, sent message
Hmm.
to his wife Josephina. I am going to home.
I'm
Uh,
coming home.
I'm
Hmm.
coming home. Yes, I will
Hmm.
be due 3 days
Hmm.
at home. Don't take a bath. Don't shower. Yeah.
Is this when he was emperor or before he became emperor? Napoleon became emperor. Emperor
I think it's when he was.
when he was emperor. Okay.
No, I don't know. He was an emperor.
Hmm.
He was.
Emperor of France. Yes, of course. Yes. Yes. Interesting. Yes. Aroma is quite important, isn't it? I think. So, so with the E on the end of bath, it makes it bathe, and I think you had that. I'm pretty sure you had that. So bathe. So there's bath and bathe, and you had that spot on, I think. That's um, maybe some of the words here. I think maybe startled, unexpected, and snatched back. Maybe if we just read that sentence again, because that was a little bit tricky, I think. And I found it tricky when I read it, I think. So he says. The whole thing is pretty much in the present tense. Everything's happening now when he's telling the story, isn't it? And so it's a little bit. I wanted it to be into the past at some point, but never mind. Anyway, so I'll read this bit to you, maybe. So I startle at the unexpected. I'm struggling too. So I startle at the unexpectedness. Yes, unexpectedness of it. You don't really hear the tid very much, do you really? So unexpectedness of it. And snatch back my hand. So I'll try once again. Maybe I get it right this time. So I startle at the unexpectedness of it and snatch back my hand. Do you want to just practice it once more?
I, I startle. I startle at the unexpectedness of it and snatch back my hand.
Yeah, you're better than me on unexpected. And snatch. Snatch. Maybe that one word, snatch.
Snatch.
Yeah, that's
Snatch
it.
back.
Yeah, snatch. That's it. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Snatch. Just when you read it, it didn't sound quite there, but you got it now, definitely. Um, so that's the word utter. So that means here it means to say. So the words coming out of her mouth. But sometimes you use the word, you might say, there's another word, if you put most on the end of that, so uttermost, that means like the extreme end of something. But you can also say utter to mean, also to mean something similar. It doesn't just have to be, so complete, absolute. So it can also mean complete or absolute, the word utter. But here they're using it to mean say. So here's another example sentence using the word utter. It says, Charlotte stared at her in utter amazement. And that's often how it's used. So you might be in utter amazement, which means in extreme amazement. So utter here means extreme in this little example sentence. So utter amazement means extreme amazement. But here the word utter is being used just means say. So they're the two meanings, as I understand it, of the word. It's a strange word.
Mhm.
Um, it's interesting what it says here. The harsh call of a bird carries from outside. So some sort of noise, moo, like a bird, and the candles go out immediately. So that's interesting. So is that something he controls, you think? I don't know.
Yeah, I also not noticed this, but yes,
Mm.
I
Yes.
don't, I didn't think about about the
Mm.
woman who can control this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When I read that, I thought that's a strange thing to say. And it gives no explanation as to how it happens. I'm assuming it's what normally happens when he has a lady in his, it sits on his bed. At a certain point, all the lights go out. We have light switches nowadays, but not then, clearly. But as an emperor, he can perhaps he flicks his tricks, perhaps he clicks his fingers and it happens or something. I just don't know. It's quite well written where it says the darkness is lit by the flame playing in her eyes. So when it says playing here, it sort of gives you the idea of it's either moving in her eyes, he can see a light reflecting in her eyes, or you could say that when light is shining on something, you can say the light is playing on that thing. Does that make sense? You could
Mhm.
say that the light from the moon is playing on the grass. You could sort of say that, and making interesting shadows, perhaps something like that. But having said that, probably the light from the moon probably wouldn't play on the shadows. It would be cast a solid shadow, wouldn't it? So it'd have to be like a moving light, I think, really, to play. That's the interesting use of that word. Um, think also if we go back here a second. So perhaps the word seizes. I think when you said the word seizes, thinking about it. So I think when I read this startle, I think I meant this. I meant this bit here actually. I think so. So she seizes my hand. Do you want to say that there again? Maybe she seizes my hand.
She seizes my hand.
Yeah, that's it. Seizes. That's it. So
Seizes.
holds tightly. Seize. Something's being held tightly. And sometimes a car engine might seize. And that means that something is melted in the engine and it just suddenly locks solid and the car engine won't move. When something goes wrong with it, you might say the car is seized, or anything might have seized. A syringe might seize, but a syringe won't move properly. But when you say seized, is close to being broken and sort of unfixable, I would say. Okay, draw. Um, so there's the word ask here. I see it there, but I can't. There was another ask as well. There was asked ed on the end of it.
Hmm.
I can't see it here. It's here somewhere. Um, and I think I struggled a little bit when I said it actually when I was reading this. So if I just say both of them. So ask, but I suppose when you're reading, you're always trying to squeeze the sounds in a little bit. So it is possible to sort of cut off the ends of some of these words, and so they're not said quite so clearly. I think that the endings are still there generally, but I think when you're in a sentence, we do tend to, it does tend to affect how we say the words, it being in a sentence, whereas as opposed to being words on their own, I suppose. So if I just practice these two here, so. Ask, ask, and asked, asked. Can you just say both of them just for practice?
Ask, asked,
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, it's absolutely perfect.
asked.
Yeah, it's so good. I don't. It's pointless me asking. Really, you're probably better than me, I would say. And I think when you said hue originally, you were a little bit out on it, but you've got it now. I think hue. So it's a sort of hue sound. That's it, really. Are you okay saying hue?
Hugh,
Yeah, yeah.
Hugh.
That's hue. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Hue. Yeah.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, it's exactly. It sounds exactly the same. Exactly, it sounds exactly the same. That's it. And when I say campaign, life on campaign, you okay with the meaning of that? A whole life on campaign?
Campaign, it's like a war in war in
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
not
exactly.
not
That's it.
con conquer
Yeah.
conquer to the
Mm.
other lands.
It's related, isn't it? But yeah. So conquer. Yeah, yeah.
Conquer.
The QU is a bit confusing, but it just ends up like a C sound, really. Con and then cur. So it's pretty much something like this. Con, then cur, I suppose. Cur, something like that. Conquer, conquer. Yeah, it is a bit tricky. But then of course sometimes they put it as an OR on the end of it. It's sort of like another ER on the end of it, but officially I think it's actually an OR. And so in British history there was a guy called William the Conqueror. So because he's invaded Britain about 1,000 years ago. So he's quite famous. So the word conqueror is quite well used. Do you just want to say conqueror as well? Conqueror.
Conqueror.
Yeah.
Conqueror.
Yeah, you've pretty much got. They definitely got the ending. Maybe this is a little bit tricky in the middle still, but you're pretty much there really. So conqueror. Yeah. Just think of it as another C sound. Conqueror. Conqueror. That's it. Um, so let's flip over the page. So okay, so I read a little bit from here, maybe. So, um, she tells me about her country, where the people hew their homes out of the cliffs, and the men of her tribe, who never held a weapon in their hands, and the women who know exactly what their children will be like as soon as they set eyes on the man who will father them. So father them. Yeah. So do you want to carry on from there, maybe? And then not just carry on down, perhaps, and stop wherever
Yeah.
you fancy stopping.
Uh, she tells me nothing about herself, and the nagging though that I have missed something of great importance gives me no peace. Gives me no peace. We spend the whole morning in conversation, and then the whole day breaking off from our words only for that which requires none. Did you say something yesterday about a son of mine? At last I remember the thing that was troubling me. Troubling me. She says nothing in reply, She just looks at me with her enormous eyes, and I think I must have imagined the words with which our acquaintance began. By this stage, I am already in love with her, even if I do not know how to identify the condition into which I am plunging, forgetting about everything else going on, going on around me. My son is born in the spring, when no one in Rome can any longer recall the wind. Most likely I succumb so easily to the charms of Amira, that is her name, because the names of my horses no longer flutter, and it has been such a long time since there were waves on the sea for them to tread into form, and those please my gaze. Now I cannot tear my eyes away from Amira and my son. The number of my attachment is rising. They are all new to Caesar, and Caesar is rightly proud of his wife and son. And what care for Rome does Caesar have now? But Rome, meanwhile, is fallen into decay, and still further. How can an empire endure if in a How can an empire endure if in succession to the wind vanishing the very ability of its subjects to bring movement to the air by means of their own lungs vanishes too? Burglars cannot sound the alarm. Women are incapable of blowing their hair out of their eyes. Children cannot manage to cool their hot milk. The inhabitants of this great city no longer gather on the shore to watch the ship hover. My navy has almost entirely sunk beneath the water. Only the top of a mast just out here and there.
Yes. Now this last bit, it sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? This last bit, where they have about the sort of like the air or the wind has vanished. This is where it goes a little bit strange here, isn't it? Up until now, the stories sound quite possible, but how can the wind or the vanish like this? It doesn't make any sense, does it? So this is getting a bit mystical here. So, okay. So any words there or ideas or things that you've noticed and want to ask about? Uh, doesn't mean I know the answer, of course, but hopefully we can work something out.
Nagging, nagging.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yes. So, yeah. So nagging. So often when we say the word nagging in English, it's often a wife nagging her husband to do something. And so nagging is something often where a lady wants something done and she constantly reminds someone. And normally it's very annoying to be reminded of that thing repeatedly because you just don't want to do the job, let's say, whatever it is, but she wants it done yesterday or right now. And you say, "Oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later." But it's annoying. So, do you ever have this feeling that there's something you've forgotten? You've left the house or where you live, and oh, there's something I can't think of something I should have done. Well, that's a nagging doubt in your head, or nagging thought, or nagging idea, or something. Nagging doubt fits it better. Does that make sense? Nagging.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's having a nagging sort of thought there, isn't he? Or a nagging
Oh,
problem
yeah.
in his head. But he answers it later on, doesn't he? Just a few lines down, I think. Well, he gets answered, I should say. Anything else?
Yeah, just
Nagging.
nagging
Yeah,
thought.
so let's just say it then. Maybe that sentence, that half of that sentence there. So, and the nagging, so nagging. You're saying something like no, the vowel the vowel sound doesn't sound quite right. So nagging. So nag. So it comes from nag, nag. My wife nags me all the time. She's a nagger, nagging, nag. So, and the nagging thought that I have missed something of great importance gives me no peace. Yes, that's the classic nagging thought there. Do you want to just read that little bit again, maybe?
And the nagging thought that I have missed something of great, and the nagging thought that I have missed something of great importance gives me no peace.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good. That's good. Yeah, your nagging's getting better. Nag, ag. Yeah, it still sounds like an R, a little bit like there's an R here somewhere, but it's just nag, nagging,
Nag,
nagging.
nag,
Yeah, I think you've
nag.
got it pretty much. It's sort of 80% there, I'd say. Yeah. Anything else was there?
Uh, I confuse with word
Oh,
words
you
from
sound. Mm,
where
I, yeah, I
sometimes
heard
when I
you.
try to pronounce
Yeah,
this
oh dear.
this word, I pronounce I listen. I'm listen. I heard that I pronounce like world, world.
Yeah, it is tricky. So let's just go through it, really. So this one is word, word.
Word, word,
Yeah, okay. And this one is world, world.
world, word, and world.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're getting there. You're just getting there. Yeah. Um, I can't remember which one I heard, which was which is in the story here.
Word,
Word,
uh, word,
word.
word. Uh,
Okay,
yes, breaking off from our words only for that first
words.
word, words, first
Yeah,
paragraph.
let's just read that little bit then. Let's read that bit there. So I'll read it once, then you can read it a couple of times if you want. So breaking off from our words only for that which requires none. So breaking off from our words, words. You'll go.
Word. Breaking off from our words only for that which requires none.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good, I'd say. But it is one of those tricky sounds, and I would say when I was a child learning English that and those W words and that the R it's only got the one vowel in it, isn't it? Making it a bit tricky. So yeah, it is a tricky word. Words and world, it is just tricky and weld. Yeah, yeah, okay. I think it was okay when you said it. I didn't get confused when you said it anyway, but I heard it wasn't quite spot on, but yeah. Anything else?
Mm, plunging, plunging,
Yeah.
forgetting about everything.
The INGs, you mean?
Yeah,
I thought, yeah. Um, I noticed you stopped yourself and repeated one word. I can't think which one it was now, an ING word, but and you sort of said it better. I think it was troubling, or I can't think which one it was now, but yeah, but that was okay. Yeah, let's just
troubling.
do it then. So let's do it from I. I'll read from I. I'm going down there maybe. So I am plunging, forgetting about everything else going on around me. So this is him falling in love, isn't it? So if you plunge, it's like falling. You can plunge over a cliff, and when you fall over a cliff. You could say plunging. But falling in love, you might say plunging. So I read it once more, then it's your go. So I am plunging, forgetting about everything else going on around me. So you'll go.
I am plunging, I am plunging, I am plunging, forgetting about everything else going on around me.
Yeah, I think that was good. Yeah, that was good. I think you had three goes on plunging, and the middle one out of the three was the weakest one. But you had it two times out of three, really. That was good. I would say that's good. Yeah, that's nice, very nice. Very good. Anything else there? I struggled with the word succumb when I was reading. I kept saying succumb wrong. I think I said it twice in the reading or something. Succumb, yeah.
Succumb,
So you've got it, but
succumb,
again, you've got it better than me.
succumb without B. As that, yeah, B is silent.
Yeah, the B is silent. That's it. Succumb.
Succumb.
Yeah, yeah, you've got
It's
it.
anguish. It's like anguish,
Anguish.
struggle, struggle, succumb.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, when you succumb, so that's sort of the point when you give up a struggle.
Uh,
Okay, I succumb. But at that point it's like surrender almost. Let's just click on the dictionary. It's a little bit like surrender. So let's see what it says. It may bring out. So succumb, no object, fail to resist pressure. So if someone's pressuring you to do something and you give in immediately, you succumb immediately. Then it says, fail to resist pressure, temptation, or some other negative force. Then it's a sentence is, we cannot merely give up and succumb, succumb, I'm saying it wrong myself. We cannot succumb to despair. Then it says, die from the effects of a disease or injury. Yeah, so you could succumb to injuries. You could sort of die because of your wounds or succumb to your injuries. That's another way. You gave up life. You gave in to your injuries. That's the idea with succumb there. So it's giving up, the idea of losing a battle, succumb. So he's losing the battle to resist her charms, you could say. So most likely I succumb so easily to her charms so the charms of Amira, that is her name, because the manes of the horses no longer flutter. So if he had his horses, he's saying he probably wouldn't have fallen in love. So I easily succumb to her love or to her because I don't have the horses. That's what he's saying. Succumb. Yeah, funny. I don't think it wouldn't doesn't work for me, I think personally, horses. Anything else there? See.
I'll tear. Now I cannot tear my eyes away from Amira and my son.
Yeah, well, so there's two ways of saying that word, or there's two meanings. So there's tear, as you said it, but there's tear. So it's like ripping a piece of paper.
Uh,
I'm going to
it,
tear a piece of paper. Tear. But it's the same spelling. That's the trick. So you've got to work out which one it is.
yes, and tear it's noun, and tear it's a verb. It's like ripping something. Yeah,
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, you've got it. Yeah, spot on. So tear, and being eyes, you would have thought, oh, it could be she's crying or someone's crying. No, it's if you have to break your gaze, if you're staring at something and you have to look away, you might say, I had to tear my eyes away. That's a classic sort of use of English to say, a very classic use of that word to say that.
and
I,
the
I,
next,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and the next sentence,
Mm.
the number of my attachments is rising.
Yes.
They are all new to Caesar, and Caesar is rightly proud of his wife and son.
Mm.
And what care for Rome does Caesar have now?
Yes.
I, I,
Doesn't
I
make
don't,
sense.
not really.
Okay, let me
He's
go
a
through.
Caesar or not? I don't understand clearly. He's not.
Yeah, so he's with this Caesar bit, he's talking in the third person. So he's talking about himself as if he was somebody else. And that is something that you can do in English. I don't know if you do it in your language, but you can refer to yourself as if you were somebody else. That's perfectly normal. You can't do it very often, and it does sound a bit strange if you do it a lot. But and I think maybe the royal family or emperors do it a little bit more than most. So he's talking about himself as if he was somebody else. That does happen, yeah. So that's the third person. So there's the first person, the second person, and he's here talking in the third person. That's the sort of the tenses or the senses, I should say, perhaps. So when it says the
And
number of attachments, do you know what that means? Where it says the
yes, yes, yes.
numbers. Okay,
It's so confusing. Attachments. What attachments? Uh, it's like devotion, loyalty, or what is?
yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Yes. So he said about his son is just born. It was just been born, it would seem, and so that is another attachment. That's why it's rising. So he had one. That was his wife, Amira. There's probably two ways of saying it. Amira, Amira. I'm not sure which one it is. And now he's got a son as well, and perhaps even more children. We don't know. Yeah, that's it. But it's funny here. He says they are all new to Caesar, and Caesar is rightly proud of his wife and son. Now, as you remember last week, he said Caesar is rightly proud of having no one that he has loved. He said that just last week. And now he's saying the exact opposite. The exact opposite. But that's just like us, really. One year we say one thing, and a year later our mind is completely, and we don't notice it. We don't notice our mind is completely changed. Okay, so anything else? Anything else is a bit confusing there. Or how about this word? That one. Oh,
Uh, Buglers, buglers.
it's more, not really. So it's buglers, buglers.
You-
So a
I,
bugle, yeah, yeah.
I when I read, I thought it's like a robber,
As
thief.
in burglar, yeah, burglar.
Yes,
I
but
think
now
there's
I
an
understand
R.
it's
That's it,
yes,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
another word.
That's right. Yes, it's a different spell. It's like it's so similar. I mean, I'm to be honest, I could have. Oh, is it A? Is it AR? BAR? I don't know how to spell burglar, but perhaps it's UR. I don't know. Yeah, so bugler, buglers. That's it. So it's an instrument that you use in wartime to sort of direct the troops around normally, isn't it? Something like that. Or when military things are happening, the buglers sort of give directions with sound to sound the alarm, it says here. So anything else? Um,
Women are incapable of blowing their hair out of their eyes. It's also so.
yes, that is a bit nuts, isn't it? Yeah. But this
So
is, yeah. So what don't you understand about that bit, or is it just you? What are you saying there?
no, no, without wind,
Mm,
and so the author tried to
describe it. Yeah.
describe it in a fancy way
Mm,
using literate
literary.
metaphorical,
Yeah.
metaphorical, but it's not metaphorical, but it's unusual way to describe it.
Well, I think he, I think he is saying something metaphorical, but what is he saying metaphorical? If you can't blow the hair out of your eyes, I think that's a straight description. I think that's normal description. Perhaps you just can't blow it out of your eyes. But the reason we know that the reason they can't blow it out of their eyes is because for some reason wind doesn't exist anymore for some reason. And it's the wind not existing. That's the metaphor, I would say. So what do you think that means where it says the wind doesn't exist? I mean, what does that mean? What do you think it means? Well, perhaps we're too early in the story to understand it, I guess, maybe. But
In this story, what does it mean? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. In this story, what does the lack of wind mean? In fact, there is no wind. Not. Yeah, it's
I don't
just.
know, but
Yeah.
was the first what come in my mind. It's wind of change. I don't know. Maybe
Oh,
it's
that's
like
interesting.
wind is sometimes it's like change. wind
Ah,
is changing, weather when weather is changing, yeah.
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
the wind starting, yes, warm weather, cold weather, and day, night, and when temperature
Mm.
become lower.
Changes, yeah, goes down a little bit, yeah.
Yes, so maybe nothing changed in Rome in that period of time, without war, without any
Mm.
missions campaign, and
Mm.
it's bad for empire. Empire is decay.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
maybe uh, when, yeah, when you have a family, kids, you
Yeah,
become
yeah,
more
yeah.
more I don't know, more calm. Not uh, yes. I think maybe wind in this story is like synonym of change, of
Mm.
changes. And
Yeah, the winds of change, that is a fairly well-known phrase, I think. So in English anyway. So does presumably there's a similar one in your language, I guess. I don't know. So if I read this little bit here, it says general definition. I think it's only going to say exactly what you've just said, really. So the phrase winds of change is commonly used as a metaphor to describe events or forces that have the power to change things, often implying that important or transformative changes are imminently or underway. Merriam-Webster. That's the dictionary, of course. It can refer to societal, that's the word societal, political or personal shifts, and is often used in idiomatic expressions to indicate that a period of transition is occurring or about to occur. That's interesting. So, yeah. So when you say, yeah, oh, so let's quickly update that page. Perhaps he's left a little message there. Perhaps he hasn't as well. So let's go to here again. Yeah, so it's such a strange thing. It's not as if people can't breathe or something. So if the air is somehow removed, you won't be able to breathe. So everyone can still breathe, but the cooling effect or the movement effect of wind has stopped. That's very strange, isn't it? And we can't imagine a world where that would happen, I think. Mm.
yeah,
It's an impossibility. This is the slightly magical thing that's suddenly crept in to the story. We're on the next page, aren't we? I think there we are. I think we're here. So this is one of the reasons. So it's this lady, isn't there? Do you remember the old woman in the beginning? She gave something
yeah,
like a prophecy saying
yeah, yeah, yeah.
something of like if you go to the place you've not yet been or something to find the answer or something like that. And he sends Celestian over to this other kingdom. And there's slightly unusual lady. So I'm guessing his wife might be the answer. And we're only about halfway through this story, I think. So, and I don't know. I've not read the rest of the story. So let's just flick on, see how far are we through. I think this is about page 8 here. So 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. 12. Oh, there's a mirror. 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15. So we're just about halfway through the book at the moment, aren't we? And the last two words were incandescent love. So I don't know who has that love or whatever, but there you go. And this is where we finished, I think. No, this is where we started, wasn't it? Um, I noticed a couple of words, I think. So buglers. Did you just say that again? Just that word there. So buglers,
Buglers,
buglers.
buglers.
So yes, bugle and buglers. That's it. Um, Maybe, and also perhaps the word endure was a bit tricky, I think. So maybe just do that half a sentence there, or that half sentence there. So I'll read it first, and it was just the word endure. So it is a tricky sound that. So how can an empire endure it? How can an empire endure it? Endure. So you'll go.
Endure. How can an empire endure if
It.
endure if
Oh, sorry. Yes, if. Yeah, I read it as it. Endure. Endure. So the
endure endure
it sounds
endure?
almost a bit French, doesn't it? It's that du sound, isn't it? So let me just move the page up a little bit. A little trick, and this isn't quite the right way, but it gets you on your, not like put you in the right direction. So the endure, endure. So the N bit, you have the N, you're doing that okay. But when you get to the D-U-R-E sounds a bit tricky. So maybe think of it as a J, endure, like jury, endure. This isn't how it's spelled, and maybe think of this word. I've just made this up now. This last bit here. So endure, perhaps. Does that help?
Yeah, endure
Yeah, yeah, that's the
endure.
sound. That's the sound. You've got it. So the D and the this bit here is making a sort of a J sound. That's it. You've got it. You've got it. That's it. Well done. Well done. Um, so we did tear, and there was where was it now? There was the word thus, and it was right here somewhere. Well, it doesn't matter where it is. So the word. Do you want to say the word thus? So
Thus,
yeah, yeah, and again maybe.
thus,
Yes,
thus,
thus, yeah, thus, yeah,
thus.
yeah, yeah. The one of them didn't sound quite right just then, but you've got it. That's it. That's it. Thus, yeah, just it was
Even
his.
though it's I mean, even though thus, it's the same meaning.
Even
Yeah.
though thus, it could do. Thus is sort of one of these words which you can sort of slip in anywhere, not slip in it. There's many different uses. Thus, often you might say, because of this, thus that. That's one way of thinking about it. This has happened, thus that has happened. So these one thing causes another, something like that. It's probably the most common way. I had a dictionary. Thus, you might say thus far. If you maybe so thus far we've had no problems. That's one way of using the word. If you're doing a job or prospect or something like that, you might have problems. You might be expecting problems, and you might say, well, thus far we've had no problems. In other words, so far we've had no problems. So there's lots of different ways of using this word. So it could be therefore. I think that's what you were trying to get at, I think, wasn't it? Therefore, or so, or
So
hence. Yeah? Was that what you're thinking about? Another one would be, oh, thus far. I said, got it there. So there's an example sentence here. He storms four bunkers, this is wartime, completely destroying them, while thus engaging, he was seriously injured. So while thus engaging. So you could say in that engagement, he was seriously injured. So the thus there is referring back to what just happened. So while thus, that thus means what just happened, what I just said, doing that led to this. Does that make sense?
yeah,
So it's sort of like a connecting word between two ideas, you might
yeah,
say.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, so let's leave that then. Where
yeah.
are we? Oh, I love it when it does this. Flicks back a page. Endure. I think your vanishing slipped up a little bit there, maybe. And perhaps the word succession is a bit tricky. So, in succession to the wind vanishing. Do you want to do that bit again? So, in succession to the wind vanishing.
In succession to the wind vanishing.
Yeah, so it's a W than a V. That's it.
Wind,
Wind vanishing.
wind vanishing.
Wind. I can have a little bit of a V creeping in, maybe there with that. So with the were, I'm really sort of is that pursing my lips together if I was kissing a little baby on their forehead. Just doing that on a baby's forehead or your wife's cheek, maybe. So it's sort of pursing your lips together to make a small circle. That's how often
Wind,
we're taught to say the w. Wind, wind.
wind,
Yeah,
wind.
yeah, I think you're getting it. Yeah, it's just remembering it, really, isn't it? Because it's such a common letter in English as well. Um, there was a bit here actually. When you said this bit here, so when you got to that such a long time, the expression in your voice was basically perfect. It was you really expressed it very, very well. So when you say this is a little bit of an idiom almost, not an idiom, but more of a saying. It gets so these three words get used so often together in this particular meaning, and you express it just perfectly. I thought very good. Yeah, that was very good. Thinking, I mean, just while we're up here, actually, that was the word nagging, and when you said this word after it, it didn't sound like you said this word at all. It sounded like you said something completely different. Thinking about it now, so to just say those three words again. So nagging, and then those two words.
Yeah, first when I read, yeah, I think it was though,
Yeah,
not
maybe.
thought. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's
nagging, uh, nagging thought that.
yeah, yeah, that's it. So yeah, it's the THs, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you got it. Well done. Nagging. And and do you think you've got the NG now? So remember those last we had that bit about plunging, forgetting everything. So do you want to do the NG here this time? So nagging
Nagging,
and again.
nagging, nagging,
Yeah, okay. It's a bit
nag,
of a nagging.
nagging, nagging.
Yeah, okay. Some sounds are trickier than others to get, but that's good. Um, there was a motorcycle going past where I live. So, and the word enormous. So something's very big, you might say it's enormous. So her enormous eyes. Can we just say that once more? Her enormous eyes.
Her enormous eyes,
Hmm.
her enormous eyes.
Yeah, the N bit doesn't sound quite right on this word. So enormous. I know if
Enor
there was an E on the end, it'd be mouse, wouldn't it? It's not too far from mouse, really. I'm not really saying mouse, of course, but so enormous, mus, more of a enormous. I'll try it once again. Enormous.
enormous,
Yeah, yeah, that's
enormous,
enormous. So
enormous,
enormous, enormous, enormous.
enormous,
Yeah.
enormous.
Yeah, I think you're
Uh,
getting it. You're getting it. That's it. Enormous. It's an strange word, yes. Um, and I think when you said the no here, sometimes I noticed a few times in over like months, the last few months, whatever. So sometimes this word doesn't sound quite right when you read it out. So let's do that half a sentence again. The plunging bit again, I should say. Just for practice. So here we go. But it's the no particularly. So even if I do not know how to identify the condition into which I am plunging, forgetting about everything. So even if I do not know, so your go.
even even if I do not know
Yes,
how to identify the condition into which I am plunging, forgetting about everything,
literally. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's it. Your
everything.
no was perfect. That's it. So yeah, it is tricky. You see a K. Oh, of course. Yeah, it is tricky. It is.
Oh,
I remember being tricked by that. Um, Anything else you want to ask about here? I can't think of anything else. I think that's pretty much everything I noticed,
yeah,
really.
it's I think nothing that's pretty understandable.
Hmm.
I think we
I did wonder a little bit if the writer was talking about Russia when he was thinking about Rome, and he doesn't want to say Russia, but he's saying Rome instead. Would it fit with Russia in any way? Was that a bit of an odd thing to say? I don't know. Because earlier on he was saying about Rome or the Roman Empire has to keep growing for it to be successful. And I think the same idea has been said about Russia as well, or the Russian Empire needs to keep growing. If it stays still, they had this idea about their borders too, don't they? We don't have borders. Russia doesn't have borders, sort of thing. So, and I wonder, there's certain sort of parallels. That was just one, and I think there are other ones too, and I can't remember what they are now. So I
I
can't
I
quite.
didn't, yeah, I didn't think about it,
Hmm.
honestly.
Yeah, I suppose it. I'm reading. I'm halfway through or three quarters way through another book, and it's a very peculiar book. And it says one thing, and it's really sort of talking about other things in life. Um, he's talking in this book about about a people planting cabbages in a straight line, and that it's very hard to keep a straight line. But what I think he's really saying is that it's very easy to get distracted in life. That's I think what he's really saying. And as we wear away from a straight line, it's a very strange book, very odd, strange book. Or at least you can see that in what he's saying. If he was really saying that, I don't know for certain, but I think he probably was. So so it's very easy to see something hidden in a story, I think.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, what was the trickiest bit to read, do you think? So maybe we can redo that bit, then maybe we can do something else. What was the hardest bit? Do you want this page or the next page? Let's go back to the first page maybe for a moment. This last bit was quite difficult, I think. If I was going to guess, it'd be this bit here.
The last, it's a big sentence.
Yeah, it does put surprisingly few. That looks like one sentence there, I think, isn't it? That's one whole sentence. If you ignore the dashes, but maybe down to there. So maybe if I read it once and then it's your go again, perhaps just the practice. So I'll take a big deep breath because I won't be able to breathe in the middle of this. So no, I'm joking. But Rome, meanwhile, is falling into decay and still further. How much can it, and still further, I don't know how to say that. How can an empire endure if, in succession to the wind vanishing, the very ability of its subjects to bring movement to the air by means of their own lungs vanishes too? Buglers cannot sound the alarm. Women are incapable of blowing their hair out of their eyes. Children cannot manage to cool their hot milk. The inhabitants of this great city no longer gather on the shore to watch the ships hover. My navy has almost completely sunk beneath the waves. Only the top of the mast juts out here and there. Yeah, I messed up this middle bit, so it is tricky. Do you want to give it one more go?
Uh,
But Rome.
Rome, but Rome, meanwhile, is fallen into decay, and still further. How can the empire endure? Oh, yeah. How can an empire endure if in succession of the or, if in the succession to the wind vanishing, the variability of its subjects to bring movement to the air by means of their own lungs vanishes too. Buglers cannot sound the alarm. Women are incapable of blowing their hair out of their eyes. Children cannot manage to cool their hot milk. The inhabitants of this great city no longer gather on the shore to watch the ships hover. My navy has almost entirely sunk beneath the water. Only the top of a mast just out here and there, here and there.
Here and there is very, very commonly used. Here and there. Quite common. Yeah, nicely read, I think. Pretty good. So maybe gather, gather.
Gather, gather.
Yeah, the second one was the best one. That's it. Big pardon, gather. That's it. Um, you said bugle is spot on. That was it. um, so yeah, that is quite interesting where he says Caesar up here. He talks about himself as if it was somebody else. So that's just to remind you again. That's called third person, talking in the third person. Um, So one thing is sort of one thing I think I see that's happening in the beginning of the story. He was very selfish and thinking about what he might lose, and he wanted to keep Rome at its best, so that it would keep functioning. I think. But down here, he sort of because he's fallen in love and has a child to look after, and he's distracted. The navy is sinking in the bay. There's no wind. You probably couldn't do much about it anyway. And he seems much more relaxed about the empire sort of collapsing. I think he's more relaxed. So I think love does do that to us. It does change our perspective. We think about things differently. Other things bother us more than, well, things bother us less on the whole, I suppose. So he's more concerned about people now, I think, than in the beginning. I think he was more concerned with the empire. Now he's more interested in the people, I think, but maybe I'm misreading it.
In the beginning, he was more concerned than now.
Hmm. Yeah, love has taken he's eased his concerns. He's just accepting it now. But the very last three words or four words says the barbarians have crossed the border, I guess. That's for next time, really. And the barbarians will presumably want to destroy the empire. And of course, we're about halfway through the story, so I wonder. So I
Maybe
wonder if the barbarians have no wind either. The barbarians have no wind? I don't know. Is it just Rome that's suffering no wind, or is it the whole of the Roman Empire? Strange.
but I think in this story, mm, maybe author would like to show that love get you weaker.
Makes you weaker. Well, that's what Caesar said, didn't he? He said, love is a weakness. Love is a weakness, isn't it? So, I
Because
don't
there are
know.
many authorian people, authorian dictator, or for example,
Authoritarian. Yeah. Authoritarian. Or should we say authoritarian?
authoritarian, and I know some criminal authority uh, when they 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 are living in criminal laws, in criminal rules, and if you are ahead of this criminal, I don't know,
Gang.
gang,
Criminal
or
gang.
if you
Hmm.
you are living in the criminal laws, you can't have family, can have kids, because when you have a family, when you have a
Oh.
life, you
Hmm.
become vulnerable. And
Hmm.
maybe it's
Yes.
his book also, when he
Hmm.
find the love, found the love, and create family. created a family, and
Hmm.
the Rome be became became vulnerable, and
That's right.
barbarian have conquered
He became
conquered.
vulnerable. Yes, that's it. That's interesting. Yeah. But if we go back to Rome, I know at one point that I think Julius Caesar, it was, I believe, he actually gave I can't think what he did now, but there weren't enough children being born, and so I can't think exactly what he did. So he did whatever he could do to allow or to encourage people so that more children would be born. And one of the things that came out of this was cesarean section. So I can't remember exactly how this went now. Supposedly, it was said at the time, and this might have been just to encourage people to do it, that Caesar himself was born by cesarean or cesarean section. And I think they were trying to encourage women to have that form of birth because they thought it might, make more children, sort of thing. More children would survive birth, more mothers, I guess, and children, perhaps. Supposedly that was the story at the time. Have you heard that story at all? That's where the idea of cesarean as an operation came. Have a cesarean or cesarean section.
It's
Hmm.
no,
Hmm.
I, I haven't heard about it, but
S-
it's in AI set. It's a very famous and very popular myth
Oh, yeah,
about
myth. Yeah.
about
Hmm.
Caesar section, and
Caesarean. Well, this is pronounced cesarean. Caesarean. Yes. Um, yeah, it's
yeah,
interesting.
and Lex Caesarion. There was a law in Roman Empire when you can't bury the pregnant women.
You can't what them, but bury them. But bury?
Bury,
Oh,
bury, bury,
bear.
bury them. Bear, bear,
Bear.
bear
Okay.
them.
Bear a
We are
child. Yeah.
buried pregnant women. Buried
Okay.
died pregnant women without extraction the baby from
Oh,
mother.
really? Oh dear.
I read this information now.
That's a bit disturbing, isn't it?
I'm reading this
Mm.
information now. I don't know, maybe. Is it more uh, true?
Mm. Mm. Interesting. I have to look into that and find out which way is right. If well, let's halt the class at that point then, and so and we can talk about anything that you fancy. Okay, how do I stop the class? Oh, there we go. It's that button there.